Dear Reddit, what is your all-time most embarrassing moment? I had a great day at a water park, outdoor pool, and towards the afternoon a woman came up to me and whispered in my ear that I have a problem with my swimsuit. I reached behind and noticed a huge gap. The fabric was torn right in the middle and you could see my white, untanned cheek crack. I was running around like this all day and no one said anything. Was on an airplane years ago with my girlfriend and her parents. My girlfriend couldn't get a seat next to me and sat directly behind me. During the flight I thought I would surprise her and reached my hand back onto her knee. Slowly I kept extending it up her thigh until I heard giggling. Looked behind through the seats and saw that my hand was on the leg of the guy next to her. He saw my face and said, "I just wanted to see how far you'd go." Of course my girlfriend was in on it and started laughing along with the rest of the row. Was so embarrassed. My sophomore year of high school I had a crush on a girl that I had a class with. We'd talked a few times but I didn't know her that well. It was around Valentine's Day and our school did a thing where you could pay $10 and student volunteers would go sing a song you picked, in class, to whoever you picked, and give them a card. So instead of approaching her like a normal person for a date I decided to go with the singing Valentine. I plunked down my $10, signed up, and started getting extremely nervous about the next day. That afternoon I told my friend what I'd done and he started laughing. And laughing. More than if he were just laughing at a bad idea. Finally he told me that the girl had a boyfriend, he was a senior, and I was an idiot. The next morning I explained the situation to a friend of mine that was involved in the program and after he finished laughing he told me it was too late, singing assignments were out, it was going to happen. My only hope was that, since singers and time are limited, they wouldn't get to mine, which is a thing that would sometimes happen and you got your $10 back and not humiliated. So our class together rolls around, which of course I had sent it to that one, and I start watching the clock. A couple other people got the singing Valentines but with about 10 minutes left mine still hadn't come. Then the door opened. And instead of the one person with a boombox we normally had there were three. One was the guy I had begged to cancel it, who gave me the biggest smile as they set up. Now, song options had been limited. This was before streaming existed so it was just what they happened to have CDs of. I honestly didn't know most of the songs, and didn't want to go sappy, so I went with the one higher tempo song I knew, Wild Thing. So they announced who the Valentine was for and she blushed, I'm sure assuming it was from her boyfriend. They started singing and she blushed harder. They handed her the card that I had written my name in and her face stopped being pink and went far more red. She looked over at me and all I could do was shrug. After they left she said, out loud, "But Chewy, I have a boyfriend." And then everyone knew it was from me. I just muttered that I'd found out too late and happy Valentine's Day and I'm sorry. That was the most embarrassed I've ever been. I was at an NFL game and something I had ate earlier had just wrecked my stomach and left me with horrible gas. Like the kind which clears a room, it is so bad. I was walking up the stairs to my seat mid-game and really had to let one rip. Right then the crowd cheered and I thought the moment was right. What I didn't realize is that my bum was at the same level as a woman sitting in her seat on the aisle and I literally farted right in her ear. I looked back at her as she looked at me with shock and disgust. I quickly turned away and climbed the stairs as fast as I could and blended into the crowd. I still think about her time to time, and how horrible that must have truly been for her and just cringe at what an idiot I was. Recently went on a vacation with some friends and a mutual friend who I don't know that well. Him and I took the pull-out couches, and his was right next to the bathroom. Later one night, when we were all walking around away from our hotel, I got the stomach rumbles. Then the nausea hit. I have never felt so sick in my life. It felt like someone was grabbing my insides and twisting them. The second we got back to our hotel I made a beeline for the bathroom. Through that paper-thin wall, this guy I barely knew heard me do pure liquid out of my bum complete with loud, wet farts, cry, and vomit in a trash can in front of me. I spent the rest of the night shivering in bed and making runs to the bathroom. I hit the been married for a decade barrier with them in a single night. Food poisoning is a nightmare. The number of times I have been misled into thinking someone was trying to high-five me, and then going in for it only to be embarrassed. I've wanted to disappear every time. I was a senior in high school and my room was the upstairs with a closed staircase going down to the living room Cape Cod style house. Anyway, brought my girlfriend home after school cause no one's home and we do what teenagers do. She had this thing about me finishing all over her back, and got very vocal when she could feel that time coming. She started screaming. We finish and she requests a drink. Okay, cool. Throw on my sweatpants and head down the steps and turn into the living room and not cool. My father and grandmother are sitting on the couch at the base of the steps drinking coffee. No way in hell they didn't hear that. They heard her. Oh, God, my grandmother heard my girlfriend begging for my I'm literally turning red just writing this. We didn't acknowledge it though. Just a quick hi as I passed by to get a drink and damn near ran back upstairs. I was on a date and we decided to go to sushi, one of those decently affordable but kinda sketchy ones. I was really craving Korean short ribs cause that stuff is the best. Lo and behold, the sushi restaurant had it on the menu. Fantastic. I ate it, it was delicious. But on the bus ride home my tummy started to feel a little rumbly. No big deal. We would be home in 20 minutes. Well, over the course of that bus ride it turned into a grave situation. Water at the floodgates kind of thing, but I was off the bus now and we started our 5-minute walk home. I made it about 40 steps. It all started pouring out. My date was next to me who was aware of my rumbly tum-tums and I just said, "Oh no, it's happening." The only thing that saved me was there was an area off the side where it was dark and no one would see me. I hid until my date got back with a pair of pants. I left the pants behind. I'm really sorry to whoever found that. I made him swear on his mom's grave that he would never tell anyone. We broke up, and to this day I still wonder if he kept his promise. I hit face first into a street light lamp post because I was staring while walking at a beautiful girl walking towards the direction where I am coming from. It was in front of the main gate of our university. Hundreds of students saw it. My friends laughed hard as hell. I don't know if it was more cringeworthy than embarrassing, but thinking back I definitely grimace. I was in kindergarten and was playing in the sandbox at recess one day with my friend. We were making a sandcastle but didn't have any sand that was wet enough to form a solid structure. I had been holding my pee for a while, and being 5 years old I didn't want to stop playing, so I let it out while I was sitting and promptly let my friend know that I had magically found some wet sand that we could build with, and no one was the wiser. We built a damn good castle. Sorry, Matthew. In middle school I got in trouble for spitting on the floor, and to get out of it I pretended to be retarded. I was rehired at a job after 6 years and most people still there remembered me and was happy to see me back. Friday rolls around and someone goes, "Dave, come by the break room." I wander in and there's this cake at the end of table and everyone is standing there. "So you say, you guys?" And blow out the candle, not noticing it said, "Happy birthday, Julie." I was so embarrassed. I asked my cousin, who I hadn't seen in 2 decades, how long he and his girlfriend had been together. He informed me that it was his daughter. Many years ago, I was on a rickety old bus traveling across the Altiplano of Bolivia. I had a case of the runs and couldn't hold it in. I asked the driver to stop immediately and jumped off the bus. Without a tree in sight, I squatted next to the bus and literally shat out a gallon of street. Once the relief left my body, I realized I had no toilet paper, like not even a freaking leaf. I glanced up to the gods and saw a bus load of locals staring down at me with blank, impatient faces. Fortunately, a woman took pity and from the window dropped a Kleenex down that fluttered about 2 feet in front. Like a penguin, pants to my knees, and still dripping from my bum, I shuffled over to it and held it tighter than I've ever held anything. After cleaning up best I could, I climbed back onto the bus, head bowed, took my seat and buried my face. When I was 12, I was watching a movie about someone visiting a loved one in prison. It was a marital visit. I didn't know what that meant since all that was really depicted was the visit. So, I boldly turned to my dad and said if he ever went to prison I'd have marital visits with him as well. He said, "I wish you wouldn't," and then laughed. Me and my cousin found a couple of women toys in his parents' place and started using them in sword fights. We were swinging them wildly so no one seemed to notice what they were. My cousin was holding it by the balls while I did the other way round as if I was using a club, and he knocked mine clean out of my hand right into the living room. My aunt shrieked loudly, followed by the dog picking up and running away with it as a stick. When we finally caught the dog I asked my uncle what it was and he said it was a cake mold, which made sense at that time. There were bite marks on it. Lol, the dog went to town on that one. Dog had the habit of picking up anything we dropped and running until we caught it.